welcome to Web Wednesday. Today, my guest is Nitya, my coworker, and we're going to talk about static web apps, progressive web apps, and what is going on in the next 30 days. Welcome, Nitya.
Hi, Ayşegül.
Can you introduce yourself for anyone who doesn't know you?
Sure thing. Hi, everyone. My name is Nitya and Narasimhan. You can find me at Nitya on Twitter. I'm a cloud advocate on the JavaScript advocacy team. I'm a colleague of Ayşegül, and I've actually known Ayşegül for way longer than my tenure at Microsoft, which is amazing.
I know.
Yeah, and I'm based out of New York. So if you're ever in this area, come say hello.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I definitely will. And I think we met in New York at a Women Tech Maker event, probably.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Oh my God. How long ago has that been? It was at a Women Tech Makers event at the Google New York campus.
Yeah. I recently saw the pictures and I looked younger. So it's a long time ago. Oh, awesome.
Pandemic has aged us all.
So we work together in cloud advocacy team and the JavaScript team, but what do you focus on? What are you doing these days?
Yeah, so I've actually been with Microsoft for a few years now in the developer relations team, and I started out as a North America regional programs person, but I've kind of in the past couple of years worked in mobile advocacy and now in the JavaScript advocacy team. So right now we have a couple of exciting things going on. This is actually the 1-year anniversary of a very popular service known as Azure Static Web Apps. Have you ever had someone come talk about it on Web Wednesday before, Ayşegül?
Yeah, next week, hopefully.
Oh, that's right. Oh my God, I hope I'm not spoiling anything. That's true. So Azure Static Web Apps is something that I think became generally available on May 12th, 2021. That's like just under a year ago. So it's turning 1. So we're kind of going all out to try and do like fun stuff around it. So my team, I think we're doing a bunch of stuff around that. Sorry, go ahead.
First, can you explain what is a static web app?
Yes. So when you think about static web apps in a traditional web architecture, right? When you think about it, you've got like a client server, and the web server's got everything. It's doing everything. It's like hosting all your assets. It's running the API endpoints where you interact from the client. Static web apps does something interesting. It takes that web application that you have and breaks it up into 2 components. So all the static content assets, which is your HTML, your JavaScript, your CSS, your media assets, all of those things, just static content. It serves them from one server endpoint. And then it takes the API endpoints, the ones that you would actually use for dynamic interactions, and tries to use a serverless architecture to host them. So what does that mean for you? What it means is that because you now can kind of keep these as 2 separate components, you can deploy and scale them in a way that makes sense to that kind of component, right? So for for the static content, you can just use global content distribution centers so that anyone who's basically trying out your app can download those content assets from the closest possible server. It's fast, take advantage of like the built-in power for caching, etc. And the API endpoints, and this is what I actually like a lot, because we're looking at serverless. Now you can use something like Azure Functions and kind of run them on demand, which means, we developers want to do like fun stuff. We don't pay until we actually use it, which is good. But I think kind of stepping back, what I have liked about static web apps and where I think a lot of people are beginning to really love it is that it makes your developer experience super easy. It's like just set up your build deploy workflow, 1 click, and after that, it takes care of the automated deploy right from your code base.
Yeah, it is amazing. And also there's some GitHub Actions integrations, right?
That's right. That's right. So in fact, we're kind of we'll jump into some of those examples when we talk about 30 days of static web apps. But yeah, one of the things you can do is it sets up automated GitHub Actions. And I'm going to say this with a caveat, because GitHub is what a lot of us use for our code repositories, but static web apps also has support for deploying from other sources like GitLab and Bitbucket. There are actually tutorials on there right now for you to use those. But let's say you're like me. Yeah, like maybe you're like me and you kind of like VS Code and GitHub. That's kind of my jam anyway. What it does is you can use, and there's a really nice static web apps extension. You can install it in VS Code. And with 1 click, literally from the same IDE that you're using to develop your code, you can set up your Azure Static Web Apps configuration, log into Azure and GitHub, and then you just sit back and keep clicking. It sets up your GitHub Actions workflow for you. You just configure where your app and API folders are, and then that's it. It takes care of it. It sets it up on the backend in the Azure portal for you. It sets up the GitHub Actions in your repo. And after that, it kind of manages that CI/CD workflow for you in the background. So that is super helpful to me because I don't know about you, but I don't think I could sit down and configure GitHub Actions by hand anymore. I'm like so used to all the tools that do it for me.
Yeah. And I know that there are a lot of tools to do that too. I want you to talk about the other stuff that you're doing, but I have to ask. So we do have a CLI as well, right?
Yeah. Oh, okay. So, well, you're kind of setting me up, but we'll come back and talk about all those in more detail. But since the page is up there, if you go to ak.ms/30 days of SWA, we'll come back and talk about this later on. But just because Ayşegül brought it up, I did not ask her to. We'll actually go click on it. She mentioned developer tools, right? So yeah, there's a whole bunch of developer tools that can support you in this process. So first, there is, of course, the Visual Studio Code extensions that I talked about. There's the Azure portal if you prefer to go and configure it in the browser. There's an Azure CLI that will help you kind of configure the Azure Static Web Apps resources and all. That's great. But we are developers. We like our local development environment. So I'm super excited because a couple of members of my team are actually involved in building an open source SWA CLI, which is a CLI to kind of support local development for static web apps. And I'm not going to say any more about it because you've got to come and check out May 19th in the event where they're going to do a demo and debut it. But let me just say that if you use the CLI today, it does a couple of things and it does them well to support local deployment and development. I'll talk about that a little bit later. But when you come to the event on 19th, you may see a lot more.
Right.
So that's the teaser. Yeah. So that's the CLI. And by the way, since I'm on this page, I'll actually kind of, maybe that's a nice segue. Maybe it worked out well. So we're in the 30 days of SWA in week 3. So check this page out around May 16th, and you'll kind of see us walking through some of the developer tools. So the SWA CLI is going to be on right after 19th. There's going to be a live demo on the 19th. Then check back on 20th and 21st for articles that'll kind of dive into the kind of features. But I'll also throw out a couple of other things that are on this list that may be of interest. So Microsoft actually is really good end-to-end developer tool story, in my opinion. So the 2 other things that I'll point out are Edge Dev tools. So if you use Microsoft Edge as your browser, I'm really kind of excited for Patrick's article because May 19th is Global Accessibility Awareness Day. I did not know that. And yeah, and he was telling me that the Edge team's actually got this really kind of rich set of resources around accessibility. So he's going to write about them. And one of the things we want to emphasize is, the static web apps whole series is really about kind of using static web apps efficiently. But under the covers, it's still a web app. So we should kind of look at tools that automatically make our developer experience, like linting, right, with WebHint, and then use some of the tools in Edge tools to kind of like validate and audit your app for all of these issues. And then Playwright, if we get a chance, I'll talk about Playwright, which is for end-to-end testing.
Yeah, we have a lot to talk about. Hi, everyone who's just joining. My guest is Nitya. We are going to talk about static web apps, progressive web apps, Playwright testing tool, and everything. And please ask your questions. We are happy to answer. This is why we are doing this live. So where did this 30-day idea came from? Should we start there?
Yes. So, I love behavior psychology. I don't know if you know this, but you know how we all go do courses on Coursera and we never finish them? I've only ever finished one, and it was a wonderful course by Dan Ariely, and he talks about behavioral economics and the rationality of people. Why am I setting this up? I'm setting this up because it turns out that everything, including learning, is really about habit formation, right? Anything we want to learn, we need to do repetitively. So this notion of 30 days is actually well known in the habit kind of formation space, where people say, do something for 30 days, and now it becomes a habit, right? So I actually started, since I brought Playwright up, this is a great segue anyway. I'd actually started first by kind of doing this 30 days of Playwright. My goal at the time is, you can see this, see? My goal at the time was Playwright was new. I wanted to learn what it was. And I was like, I'll set myself a goal. I'll study something in Playwright every day for 30 days. At the end of 30 days, I should have a really good kind of awareness of what's going on. And that's where I started. So my first project was like, I was starting this, and you'll see that it says 30 days, but it stops at 7. There's a reason for that. We need to come back to it. But one of the things that I realized is there's a lot of stuff, right? So like you can see this is kind of walking through Playwright. One of the things I really loved is, here's this, I love visual stuff, right? So you can see this is the entire Playwright CLI visualized in one image. So you can kind of see all the
Can you zoom into that so we could also?
Oh yeah, so if you click on it, you'll get a really high-res version of it. So this is the main CLI, and then if you kind of look at each of these commands, you can go in and, so there are tons of really, really useful things you can do with Playwright. You can get trace debuggers, you can capture screenshots and video, you can open anything that's navigatable to a browser, but you can open it with one of various browsers. Like they support 3 browser engines, right? That's Safari, WebKit, and Chrome. And you can do a whole bunch of stuff. It's a really rich CLI. But the very first time I started working Playwright, right, I was like overwhelmed because I didn't know what to use. And then I had to visualize it, and it really helped. So, but the bottom line is that I started doing this, and there's actually tons of stuff. This is actually one of my favorite features. There's a tool called CodeGen. So if you're like me and you're a web developer who's kind of written unit tests, but you didn't really have to do the kind of end-to-end write giant tests, figure out all the things that you need to kind of know the selectors for, etc. You probably encountered this issue where you've got this app you need to test and you don't know where to start. So this code tool, which I love, what it does is it lets you, if you've got a deployed app, start CodeGen, and then you walk through the interaction flow that the user is supposed to walk through. It captures all the selectors and writes the test script for you. So at the end of it, you get the script, and then you can just tune it, right? So
I'm more motivated to test it now.
Oh my God, it is amazing. It is amazing. And this was like, you can see that I stopped at 7 because Playwright's moving very, very fast. But I had actually wanted to share one thing that came out of it. If you're interested, is go to ak.ms/y-playwright. And I'm just sharing this because this is the other thing I'm interested in. We actually made an entire series of short animated videos that explain the 7 things or 8 things you need to know about Playwright. So go check it out.
Yeah, I do have a video link here.
Yeah. But the thing with Playwright is we're going to have, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of new content coming out. And instead of kind of doing the deep dive into Playwright, now I'm actually looking at adding it in as a kind of step in other things we're doing. So, you know, you mentioned 30 days of progressive web app. So I can talk a little bit about that unless you had a question on 30 days. But what I was actually doing was, okay, when I did 30 days with Playwright, I'm like, okay, after 7 days, this is a lot for me to do alone. And how can we kind of like make this into something that's more useful? And then the Windows developer team, shout out to Beth Pan, who's a PM there. They were like, hey, we could do something with progressive web apps, get a whole bunch of people to do this together. And so that was basically our first attempt at building a series. And so if you go to ak.ms/30 days of PWA, or you can go to the dev2 link that I have here, you can actually go find the 30 days of progressive web apps. And we did the series. And so this is really one of the things I really love because this is the summary slide. What we did is we kind of went away from the original 30 days where we were like, okay, a single person trying to learn this is just going to step through it, to a team getting together and putting a structured roadmap where you're trying to understand something, right? So we broke it up into 4 weeks. So week 1 was core concepts. What exactly is progressive web apps, and what are the 4 components of progressive web apps that you need to know? And then in that,
before you move on, can you just give us the gist of it? Actually, what are the PWAs and what are the steps?
Oh my God! Yes. So I'll actually. Because this is the great thing about having the series, right? When people ask me, I actually can show you a picture.
Exactly. So, right. This is awesome.
So this is the one I drew, and I'm going to see if I can actually, okay, can you see it now almost in full screen?
All right. Yeah, maybe I'll just make it totally full screen. Yeah.
Okay. So it's okay. You can go see the page. But if you want to understand progressive web apps, think of progressive web apps as kind of the best of both worlds. So if you look at this picture, at the bottom in blue is what we think of as platform native apps, right? So when you're building an application for a user to use, you can build it using native APIs. So you have a Windows app, you have a Android app, you have an iOS app, right? They're built for that platform. So those are the ones in blue, and they're like, hey, I do this only on this platform. And up top in yellow are what we think of as the traditional web apps, right? And they run in the browser on all these platforms. So they run in the browser, so they'll work across all your devices. They don't care what OS you're on, they'll work. But they can't really do all the rich things that a platform native app can do because they have to run across all browsers. So they can't just say, hey, I'm going to use this feature that's available on Windows, because they can't be guaranteed it'll work on Android, right? So we have those yellow things, which are web apps. Progressive web apps is that red layer, right? And what a progressive web app, and this is why I love them, think of it as superpower. I made this joke to my son and he got it. And he was like, it's like Clark Kent, right? So it takes off its, like you take off your shirt and you're Superman. So that's what progressive web apps are. It takes the web app that you have, it talks to the kind of like the platform you're on. And if it supports these enhanced services, APIs, it can unlock those powers in your app and make sure they run in a way that looks almost comparable to native. So how does it do it? And we kind of talk about the different features of progressive web apps, but at the core, it's really about 4 things. So a manifest. So it's like you want to be able to install your progressive web apps just like you would a native app. You want to find it in stores. So that's what progressive web apps can do. Second, you probably all heard of service workers. What that means is that your progressive web app can cache content so that even if you were to go offline, it'll still work just like a native app, whereas web apps, traditional ones, will not. And then it has this notion of what we think of as web capabilities. And those are the APIs that are kind of slowly being developed in this project called Fugu. And what that means is that as and when more browsers all kind of commit to supporting a specific API, it unlocks that capability, which is native. So now you can potentially share things between an installed progressive web app and a native app, literally on the device, and a lot more. But if you want to learn more about it, definitely go check it out. Did I give a good enough definition of what that was?
So can you give us one of the examples of the API that is available in native apps and not available on web? And
I'll do better. So because this was, again, a series that was done in 4 parts. Remember, I told you that? So
yeah.
week 2 of this was literally all the advanced capabilities. So if you go to the series, you can look at a whole bunch of advanced capabilities that are supported. And this was done by a lot of folks from the Windows developer team. So some of these are looking at how you can use some of these APIs on Windows devices, right? So I don't know if you can read the screen, but you can do things like handle protocols. So like a URL protocol, handle file system access right from your progressive web app. You can have notifications show up in your progressive web app, even when it's not actively running, etc. The reason I'm bringing this up is if you go through this series right here, I don't know if you can read it, but all of this from 9 up through, I think, about 14, those are all examples of APIs. So application shortcuts, like you want to be able to launch an application directly from kind of like a link. So go into your application and launch it directly into one of those screens. Share content to and from your app. So if you've got your progressive web app installed on the native device and you want to share a photo from this into, I don't know, a Twitter app that's natively installed, how do you do that? So these are some of the examples that are there. You can also go check out, I believe it'll be in this. It's called Project Fugu. And I think, here. This is the dashboard that you should go check if you want to see what's currently being worked on. So these are all the APIs that are in the pipeline for progressive web apps, right? And if you look at it, you're kind of seeing the shipped ones as the ones that are currently kind of stable, people have agreed and are being implemented. And you can see on the right side which kind of platforms are supporting them. And then if you're interested way down, there are some that are still in developer trials, some are started, and you can actually go and propose something. You're like, hey, I would love to have this feature be supported by an API, and then they'll kind of go through the process.
Would you be able to share the link for Fugu?
Yes, let me put it in our chat. It's just Fugu tracker. Oh, I don't know where that is. It's just here.
Yeah, well, I mean,
it's fugu-tracker.web.app. I'm going to put it into our kind of internal DM, Ayşegül, if you can share it.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Also, I brought up the builds link because I know that we will have some cool demos. Yeah, check it out. I can't really tell what it is, but it's exciting.
Oh, this is at Build?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Is it, are you saying specifically to progressive web apps or just in general for web apps?
Progressive web apps. There's lots of other cool things, right? Like
yes.
I did the AI demos and it's just, it was so much fun.
Yes. Are there going to be new APIs that you're going to show?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, so basically, yeah, I'll give you the gist of it. We have Form Recognizer, which has been available for a while, but they have newly trained models for vaccination card and US IDs and passport. So that's one thing.
Okay.
The other thing, oh yes, one really cool new API is summarization. So basically, you can give long documents and then you get the summary of it, the important bullet points, basically.
That would be super cool.
Yeah, and not only that, you can do that for conversations too. So like if you have a transcript of the conversation, then you can do that. Or
that
if it's
a
great
way to kind of send out like a summary of a meeting from the transcript.
I know, yeah.
Or tweet out like a summary of your blog post with a link to the original. That would be cool.
Yeah.
But you mentioned tools. So are you by any chance using PWA Builder?
Me personally, no.
Okay. So as part of that was the thing that we were working with the team on. And if you haven't tried it, this is something worth checking out. The PWA Builder team actually has this really nice site where you can audit your progressive web apps. So if you have a deployed app, it'll not only audit it and tell you what things you could fix to improve the quality of your progressive web app, but in case you haven't got it instrumented for progressive web apps, it'll actually generate all the files for you. So it'll generate the manifest for you. It'll generate the service worker based on the policies you put in. And I kind of was going to give them a shout out because they just released an extension for VS Code that you can use. And I think as part of that, you can actually instrument your app and deploy to static web apps. So
yeah, cool. I have a link for it. I'm looking for it and I'll paste it actually.
Yeah.
All right.
And don't forget to follow them on Twitter. They have a really good kind of team that shares a lot of updates. Especially shout out to Justin. They've got a lot of really nice apps that are currently in the App Store, in the Windows Store. But yeah, that's actually one of the nice things I like about PWA Builder is not only does it audit, when you're done, you can actually take your PWA and have them analyze it to see how many changes you need to make, if any, to get it listed in the Windows Store, to get it packaged and published in the Windows Store. So, and he has a bunch of kind of examples there. So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is really cool. It wasn't easy to get started with before. So there's lots of resources and it's really nice. And we have a question. This is day one. Is this day one for static web apps or?
So the easiest way, if you want to look up the articles on Dev2, you can just go into that. So it's all in order, but what you want to do is pick any one of those articles and then just kind of click on the series tag and you'll see them all in order. So the very first one kind of introduces the team and the roadmaps. And after that, the weeks are color coded. So week 1 is really core concepts. So an introduction, break it down and see what the components are. And then we talk about the 4 main components. And then we kind of walk through how you could develop one end to end. And
so then are we on day 9 today? Is that?
Oh, this is progressive web apps.
Okay.
We're on static web apps. That's different.
Yes. What they are being static web apps.
Yes. So static web apps is what we're doing now, which is building on this kind of traction with 30 days. So if you want to look at static web apps, it's aka.ms/30 days of SWA. And that's I've kind of posted the link to the Dev2 version of it. You can find it on Dev2. You know, the easiest way for you to find it is to go look for dev.to/p/static web apps, because that kind of tag has been cleaned up a great deal. So we are currently on day 3. So the day 3 post will go out today, but we kind of are having fun with it because first of all, the very first post before May started, I want to give a shout out to the Azure Static Web Apps anniversary. So this is going to be a live event on May 19th. So if you haven't checked it out, go to ak.ms/SWA anniversary. And can I kind of click and just share that briefly, Ayşegül, before we kind of walk through where we are? Okay. I want to just make a note of this because I'll be there. And I think a whole bunch of our members of our team will be there. It's a celebration. It's just 2 hours. It's a celebration of, 1 year of static web apps. But we're going to have a really nice bunch of talks around it. So a couple of them that I'm excited about. One is DevOps and Azure Static Web Apps. Like, how do you actually deploy from that? And then, of course, big shout out to Wasim and Johan, who are going to debut the Static Web Apps CLI.
Yay.
And then I don't want to say too much, but I would basically be like hybrid rendering. You got to stick around and see these two demos with Anthony Chu, Simona, and Aaron. It's going to be super cool. So, yeah.
We have a question for you.
Oh, any example of SWA with Blazor?
Yeah.
So I like it when they set me up for success like this. Two things. First of all, I'm not a C# person, so I'm not going to know details of it. But do we have support for Blazor? Yes, we do. I want to actually show you a couple of things off the top of my thing. So let's see the gallery. So if you go into, there is a gallery of samples that we're going to kind of overhaul very quickly. It's in preview mode, so don't kind of look for it yet. Currently empty. There should be about 3 examples coming up soon, which will show you Blazor examples that are been done by Jeff Fritz. Let me see if I can actually find one of them. It's called ClipTalk. I should give a shout out to ClipTalk. So have you heard of ClipTalk?
No.
So Jeff Fritz, the C# Fritz on Twitter, has built this site that's using Azure Static Web Apps, apparently. And what it's doing is it allows you to select clips and create your own kind of like a clip archive based on things that you're streaming on Twitch, etc. So as part of 30 days of SWA, towards the end, week 4, I'm hoping that he'll come and write an article for us about how this was built. So yes, there is something like this already. Second thing is, let me kind of show you quickly where this will be. So in the roadmap around, was it, give me a second, I need to find out. Oh, usage examples, there we go. Around May 13th, Justin Yu from my team has a Blazor example to work SWA with a headless CMS. There's also an example from Jeff using Blazor, so we'll have those walkthroughs here. And last but not least, if you go look at the Azure Static Web Apps documentation, there is a quick start for Blazor as well.
Oh, awesome. That's great news.
I don't know if that helps answer your question.
Yeah, Teddy, if you have more to clarify, just let us know.
Yes.
Yeah, this is great. I'm really excited about the anniversary. Are you going to demo anything?
Yeah, so before I kind of finish, I just want to say, I think this has a Blazor. Oh yeah, so there you go. I just wanted to also put this link in. So if you go to the quick starts, there is a Blazor quick start, but we'll have the gallery updated with examples. So yes, I will be at the anniversary. I'm actually doing, mainly I'm here to going to talk about the 30 days of SWA. And at that point, hopefully we'll have this gallery ready to go. And I want to debut it. But the thing with the gallery is 2 things. First is, let's see if I can get that back. So first is there will be a lot more examples in here. And most of these, if you click the ones that have open source, have an associated GitHub repo. So you should be able to go in and look at the source for building that app and potentially contribute, or even fork it and try to do something on your own. Second is absolutely want to encourage the community to contribute. So for example, if you go to something and it says there is no example, by then when we deploy this, we will beg you to please add your project if you've built something. So I'm going to come talk about the showcase. I'll also be talking about 30 days of SWA. Beg you to please add your project. I'll also be talking about 30 days of SWA in terms of where we are at. At that point, we should be halfway through the series. So we'll be just about to start our Developer Tools Week. And then, of course, we have a surprise around the Static Web Apps CLI. So I'll be kind of showing off one additional page that might help you work with that a little bit better. But for today, how much time do we have?
We have half an hour.
Okay, great. So for today, maybe I can encourage people, because today is May the 4th, right?
Yeah.
So our team actually did a couple of fun things that I think we should try. So one is in terms of demos, if you get a chance, go check out, Glaucia and my team actually wrote a 3-part tutorial. It's at the bottom of this page. That'll help you build a Star Wars crawler. hosted on static web apps. I'm not going to play it because it uses the Star Wars theme music, and I'm not really sure about all the copyright and stuff on it. But what I was going to say is you can go check her tutorial out and see her code base and literally fork that, try to deploy it yourself. She walks through the whole process. So try it out. And basically what I like about
Well,
this—
I'm curious now. We'll just talk over it, so that won't be copyright.
Okay, let me see if I can find out if she's got her. Okay, hopefully we won't play it.
Sorry to put you on the
Yes,
spot, but
so
I'm very curious.
she has, this is kind of like her code base for the app. And I don't know where she has it currently deployed. Let me check.
Oh.
Should we try to find her deployed version?
That's okay. It's really nice to see. So shout out to Glaucia. She's
Yes.
amazing, and she has a lot of content in Spanish and Portuguese. So definitely follow her.
Yes.
And she
So-
does really fun stuff.
The banner that you're seeing is actually a screen capture of her deployed app. This is for the Portuguese version, and the one that she published in Dev2 has the English translation, so you can use it. But you can kind of see how that works. It's writing her story out, and it talks about Glaucia and the lightsaber. The other thing that is a simpler thing that you can try out is, let me see if I can find you. So this one more of our team members, and this is a very kind of trivial app that you can build. It is this. So one of our team members, Johan, actually has a very basic static web apps with a GitHub template that has an API functions endpoint. What it does is it grabs images from Unsplash, and you can just pair it up with a bunch of quotes. And what it's going to do is going to play a kind of like a video which has the quotes with an image, right? So I basically grabbed it, forked it, made a copy, and had it set up to pull Star Wars images and kind of use those quotes. So we can kind of see that one. If you want to try that, that's the post that's coming out today. So if you want to try that out, that one at least I have the code base here. So you can see that in action over there. And if you want to see the repo, I'm going to put this link. This is actually super trivial. And the instructions, if you want to try it out, actually still May the 4th. So you could try this out. This is the simplest way to show off a static web apps app that has both the content and the API endpoint and has the deployment be super simple. The original README is here. So there's literally a deploy to Azure button. So what you want to do is follow these instructions that I have here, which is the minor customizations you make to kind of make this work with the Star Wars theme. So use the Azure Swag template. This one is available right here oh, wow. I guess I'm not logged in. So this is the template. When you're logged in, it'll show you the kind of like the ability to generate it, right? So go ahead. Generate that repo. Once you've got it, clone it. And then there's just one file you need to edit. So if you go into this, so we can go into that and look at it. This is in the API folder. So the API folder is where the API endpoint is going to be hosted. The index.js file has a link to the query you make on Unsplash, and you can fill in your quotes, and that's it. But then you can actually go look at the code for setting up and running those functions. So under the API, you'll see that there is, the kind of like your Azure Functions is set up here, and then your basic app is set up here. Oh, yeah, the displaying of the code. And it's kind of as simple as that. So you can deploy this. And the reason I'm saying you should try this out is if you do the deploy to Azure, if I were logged in, you'd see, and I don't want to because then you'll see my subscription ID. It'll literally take you to the Azure portal, fill in the details for your app, hit the button, and it'll deploy it, and you'll get the live things up and running within seconds. And after that, you should just be able to see every time you refresh it, you should get new pictures with those quotes.
Well, that's pretty exciting. And I know that we have what frameworks can you build, and what do we make very easy? Did you use Angular,
yes.
React, or any other?
So let's actually we'll do two things. One is, because I have to keep showing you the gallery every time I can. One of the things we want to do is have a list of all the supported frameworks and static site generators, right? So out of the box, many of the popular static site generators are supported. So if you use Jekyll or Hugo, Docusaurus, Astro, I think Glacier has something coming up on Astro. I'm going to write something on Docusaurus, Elevanti, all of those, right? But in terms of frameworks, there are two ways you can look at it. One is front-end framework. So it works with Vue, Angular, Svelte, React, I don't know what other part, Blazor. You can also work with Node.js framework, so Nuxt and Next. So I'll point out two things. One is when we kind of have this gallery up and running, you should see samples with open source projects that you can look at to see how they're deployed. But you should also be able to go into the static web apps documentation. And at the very top level, there are two different areas that you should look at. One is when you see tutorials here, these are going into kind of like very quick and dirty quick starts for working with these. We don't have everyone listed because obviously at some point you can't have tutorials for everything. But there's for the most popular ones, there are quick starts for these. And the showcase hopefully will show you working examples for those that don't have tutorials. The second thing is that you want to look under the how-to guides and look at the docs, which says configure front-end frameworks. And the idea here is that if you have an app that's already been written for one of these and you want to just configure it to work with static web apps, start by knowing what your default settings are for the app and API. And so for most of the frameworks that are listed here, it's been tested to make sure that it works with Azure Static Web Apps. This still needs to be updated. There's a lot more that needs to be put in here. So one of the things we will be doing is as part of week 2 under usage examples, you'll see we're going to showcase a few more examples with tutorials, and we'll have a list in here down the line that'll kind of give you an updated list of configurations for all the others.
Thank you for putting all of this together. It's really nice to see everything in one place. And if you're just joining us, please do follow 30 Days of SWA. Nitya is putting together from start to finish 30-day package for you, basically, to learn static web apps. And also, I'm very curious what are, if anyone is building anything, deploying anything with these static web apps, or like, what are your challenges and what would make you use them? Hi, I'm watching your video. It's 2:36 a.m. Oh my God, where are you? You are awesome, but it's very cute. Can I get stepwise tutorial?
Yes. So glad you asked. Out of hey Amit, and I'm guessing by the time that must be India, but I don't know. Depends on what kind of framework you're looking for. So it's a good thing you asked because you have 2 resources available. Actually 3 if we look at it. One is when I talked about the Azure Static Web Apps documentation, if you go to the main site, these are step-by-step tutorials. So if you look at this, it's going to walk you through what it takes to build and deploy a static web app with that particular framework. So you can kind of step through this. The second part is there's a tutorial section, at the bottom in resources, there is a learn path that kind of walks you through an entire end-to-end, build a basic static web app, add an API, add auth support, and kind of like best practices around this. This supports 4 different options. I believe Vue, React, Svelte, and Angular. Yeah, some of this will be updated, but keep an eye on the Learn module. Ayşegül can put the link to that in the chat as well. So these are like step-by-step tutorials, and they have like a sandbox and a GitHub repo that you can fork and kind of work through. So these are good to know. But I'll give you one last resource, which I hope will actually end up being useful to you in the long run. And I would super love to see all of you contribute back, because it's been a labor of love. And that is the dev.to/static web apps tag. So the reason I bring this up is that this hashtag, you can see, is moderated by me, and I've been cleaning it up and getting all the community and advocacy generated tutorials that are currently available written up and tagged here. So you should be able to just search this to see different tutorials for different front-end frameworks. For example, I think that there are also like examples like this is Jen's, right, of using cognitive services with static web apps. But if you want to kind of look at a step-by-step tutorial, the one that I was just showing you for the Star Wars swag, this is the step-by-step tutorial for that one. And you can kind of go through and see, I think there's going to be a couple more coming for Next and Nuxt. There are also some that are not tagged yet, But for instance, with Gridsome, that have been written by the community, but they should show up. So two things here. If you have a specific tutorial, a specific front-end framework or static site generator that you want a step-by-step tutorial for, do me a favor, go to the static web app site, and in the right side, there is a discussions section. Just go in there in the 30 days, add a comment to the discussion thread saying, hey, I'd love to see this, and I will promise you that I will answer, either with a link or we'll at least be like, hey, people are asking for this and we can write this up. Second is, if by chance you happen to write that tutorial yourself, please come back and tag us on it and let us know, because I would love to make sure that we add that to the list in the showcase and also feature it on the Dev2 thread so others can find it. But yeah, tell me which framework or basically static site generator, if that's what you're looking for, you want to work with, and also what kind of use case you're trying. Like, what is the app that you're actually trying to build?
What is your favorite use case? Like, why do you like it so much?
Oh, so for me, basically, right now, this is meta in itself. I started static web apps initially for two reasons. Let me see if it's still here. I kind of started to use it as a platform to do personal projects and quick demos, right? If I want to showcase something. So let's go back and I'll show you my recipe site. Let me see, recipe.me. Okay, here.
It's hard to find really.
So this is using an Eleventy template, all right? So this was one of my kind of favorite things, and I haven't set it up with the full data, but it took me very little time. It took me a day. I wrote this as part of the Progressive Web App series. And what this does is it sets up the Eleventy. There's a template for a cookbook with Eleventy. I hope I'm saying that well. That's configured with static web apps and also integrated with Playwright. So one of the reasons I kind of did this is that you can showcase a recipe. This is my new version. My old version used Hugo, also deployed to static web apps. Let me see if I can find that. That one actually has my recipes. So, or it started having my recipes. So in this one, you can see that these are actually Indian recipes that I make for my son. It's called Recipes for AJ because AJ is the initials of my son. And I'm like, at some point, I'm not going to be around to make all this for you, so you better learn how to do it. What I kind of liked about this is that it was super easy to just set up, and you can do things like, show me a printout, and there's a really nice printout of the recipe. You can kind of have all the information around it set in here, and it's going to work on everything. And it has Playwright integrated. I can't show it here, but that means that I can literally have Playwright walk through the screens and record a video of it, so people can walk through my recipe in stages and do things like that. So these were like fun projects I did. But the one that I'm actually proud of now is that this Azure Static Web Apps SWA, this entire site, is currently running on static web apps. And it's a Docusaurus template. So Docusaurus is an open source documentation static site generator from Facebook that I'm beginning to really like as a quick and dirty way to set up project pages or personal websites or blogs. So the reason I bring this up is that I'm actually going to make this into a template. So you'll see it's over here. So that I'm hoping, this is my pet project right now, is to use static web apps and use the Docusaurus template and set it up as something that anyone who's doing a learning journey can just kind of instantiate and start publishing their own kind of, hey, here's my 30 days tutorial on kind of learning X, right? And so hopefully we'll get a whole community generated set of things that are generated with this. So I think these are the kinds of simple examples. For more complex ones, let me think. I like
we have a list of them, right, on GitHub. Awesome SWA project.
Yes. So this is actually the original gallery. There are two resources. One is there is this resource that is under Microsoft Static Web Apps, the gallery. This is the one that we will hopefully be refreshing to put the Docusaurus endpoint with the kind of grid. But under here, there is an awesome static web apps. That's the one you're talking about, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I think, where was that? I'm
going to try to find it.
I think it's in the static web dev.
Yeah.
It's probably in static web devs. I should have got that. Do you find it?
No, I haven't. No, I haven't.
It's over here. So it's the organization is github.com static web dev. And I think right at the bottom, the pinned project there is Azure Static Awesome Azure Static Web Apps, right?
Yeah, we have.
Yes. So I don't know if you can see the link, but it's static web dev / awesome Azure Static Web Apps. This also needs to be refreshed a little bit, but if you have resources that you want to share, definitely do a PR to it.
Yeah. And ping us if you need to have someone to look over and then merge it. We'll be very happy to do that. And it looks good on your resume too. So
yes, I will very selfishly ask that you start by doing an open source project and contributing it to this. This is under Microsoft's org, so we'll actually get an open source project of yours listed. That would be great.
Yeah, and there's tons of really cool projects there. There are some like AI ones, or there's a shop, and that's a great way to look at the code and start learning there.
Yes, I will also say that I think in the last week of this series, we're going to have a few kind of richer application examples and tutorials that combine static web apps with other Azure services. So there is a searchable catalog example, a custom vision workshop, and a couple of things coming up that use Cosmos and Blazor as well. So keep an eye out for those.
Yeah. We have one more question from Amit for you.
Sure.
Just want to know, do JSP works with Google Apps scripts?
JSP is, what's JSP now? Java server pages? I'm like, am I confusing? What's JSP?
Yeah, I'm not sure either. Amit, can you tell us what JSP is?
I'm still JSP used to be Java server pages, but I don't know. Does it work with, do you mean static web apps with the Google Apps script? I don't know. What kind of content is in Google's Apps script? Does it have to run in a specific environment? I will, however, say, actually, let me share one of my fun things, but go ahead, just explain what that is. JavaScript.
Yeah, JavaScript.
JavaScript work with Google Apps Script. It's been a long time since I used Google Apps Script. Oh, I don't know what you mean. Does it work with that? You remember?
It's probably one of the supported languages, but I'm not sure. I haven't done anything with.
Yeah, I haven't. Sorry.
But they also do have a lot of progressive web app resources there too.
True, but just to clarify, isn't Google Apps Script the kind of scripting engine that runs behind Google Apps, like the docs and stuff that's hosted that you can run to sheets and stuff that you can run to run or create interactive
I'm not sure.
experiences? Oh, it's been a long time. I will say that I did do something interesting, which is if you've seen Google's Code Labs, you can actually, they have an open source version of this. So you can actually host them on static web apps. So I have a sample for that as well.
Oh, that's awesome.
That works, yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit of hacking, but it does work. Let me see if I can find it. Assuming it's still there. But go ahead. Did you have any other questions?
No, I don't have any questions. But
otherwise, while you're talking, I'm going to go see if I can find out where I deployed it, just for the heck of it.
Yeah, while you're looking for that, just wanted to share all of the links again. So Nitya is nicely putting together lots of information for static web apps, and she's doing a 30-day series on Dev2 for blog posts, tutorials, and code samples. Everything is there. Please do check it out. But she also did a Playwright 30 days, which Playwright is an end-to-end testing tool. And it sounds pretty cool. I actually haven't tried it yet. And she has a short video about it if you want to see that first. And progressive web apps, finally. Like she has a 30 days recap one too, which I really liked. You know, you were saying, okay, this is all the things that we did. Everything is here. I think it's a good place to start too. You see like, oh, okay, these are all the things that I'm going to learn from this. But if you want to start from the beginning, it's 30 days PWA.
Yes. And I was going to say that for the 30 days of static web apps, this should become your one-stop destination, this site, because you'll see everything is linked when it's live. The showcase will be linked here. Under developer tools, we'll have a link to the Azure Static Web App CLI, Azure SWA CLI updates that are coming out. There's also a series called Azure Tips and Tricks. We'll have links to that. So this should become your one-stop shop for everything related to static web apps that we can kind of point you towards. And most importantly, there is a discussions thread. So I will keep an eye on it. If there's something that you need that is not being answered, or if there's an article that you think we should be writing even beyond the 30 days that will clarify something, we'd love to do it.
Yeah.
And wait, let me see. So I did actually have, so this is the Google Code Labs running on static web apps. Do you see it?
Yeah, cool.
So it's very meta because it's someone else had actually done the kind of set this up to run on GitHub pages, but it was just a couple of things to get it to run on.
This is really cool because you can actually create your own code lab, right?
Yes, and you can then potentially contribute it back to one of their code lab series. And it's also really simple because it's all marked down. So you can contribute a code lab here, or you can just write your own. I'm hoping that you'll actually use this template and set it, because Docusaurus has tutorials. It does a much better job. So here is what that looks like when you use this is the default template for Docusaurus. I just cleaned it up a little bit. So you can set up tutorials very quickly. So you can like next, right? So these are all empty right now, but that notion of having a flow and then kind of having timed segments, Docusaurus has it too. So
yeah. So we were talking about it before you start using Docusaurus. Did you like it?
Yes. You know what? I haven't done as much in terms of going beyond the blog series, but there are two things that I'm going to dive into. One is they have a live coder embed, so you can actually, sort of like CodePen and all, you can embed code and then people can actually edit and try to run it inside the page.
That's nice.
I think that would be super interesting to try out. And then the second is, have you seen this Infima design?
No.
Okay, let me see if I can find it. So under the covers, they have this styling framework called Infima that they're using. So if you kind of look at it, being able to do theme things, switch everything between black and white, look for the contrast in colors, everything is done through the guidance of this styling framework. And I don't know yet, it's an early preview, but I don't know yet what it does. I want to actually go dive in and read this, because that right now, I think Docusaurus just comes with the classic theme, which is the default that all of us are using. We just customize it with CSS and keep it very simple. But if we did this, then we could literally, since Docusaurus under the covers is, you can write React components and embed them, right? So the whole thing, that whole kind of showcase is really React components. So to me, this is powerful because I can then go and make a custom website for me where I've got all my components themed for, like, hey, my patterns should show up this way, my publications should show up this way, my slides should show up this way, right? So I'm hoping to learn this styling framework and figure out how to use it. It's the one that powers them behind the scenes. So those are the two things I'm interested in.
Yeah. And for those of you who doesn't know about the series, I put the link on the chat, and it's an open source, basically templates that you could use with React from Meta development team, but it is open source. So Amit has more questions. We are very happy to answer. When will be the next session? Because I have tons of ifs and buts to discuss. Yeah, I hope you'll come back next week. Is at the same time is our next session, and we will be celebrating the Static Web Apps birthday, first anniversary. But you can start telling us about your ifs and buts here or on the discussion that that Nitya said she will take a look.
Yes, and you can always tag me at Nitya on Twitter and ask me if something is urgent. Yeah.
And what time? It's going to be exactly 55 minutes prior to this. So it is 1:30 Pacific time in US. So it's exactly the same time. But we're also on Twitter and GitHub. You can ask us questions anytime, anywhere. And we just wanted to create the content you actually need. So it's very important to us that we are addressing your needs. So do let us know. And thank you for staying up this late to be with us. Amit?
I was going to say that I really, really hope all of you will attend the anniversary event, kind of because you'll get to see the demos and some of the new features being launched. But more importantly, I believe there's a replay on it too. So like, even if you can't live, you should be able to immediately catch up with the replays after the fact. And of course, chat with all of us through Twitter and discussions.
Yeah. And also another good place is to comment below this video, because I'll do a better job to check it, and I do look at it sometimes, and it's nice to see what else we can bring to you, and what other Azure technologies you want to know about. That would be really nice.
Yeah, and we'd really love to know what kind of web apps you want to build. Like, what are the examples for not just static web apps, but in general, like what are the kinds of usage scenarios that you're thinking of, so that we can potentially do more demos and kind of like samples that'll reflect those for you.
Yeah. And Mita says, thank you. This was very valuable. Thank you so much. We are very happy to have you and your questions. Thank you for joining us. And we have actually 4-ish minutes. Let's wrap it up. So one thing, if one place people needs to go,
just go to ak.ms/30 days of SWA. Okay. That's the fastest, easiest way to remember it. I'll make sure everything is linked in here. Someone's asking, Jorge, I'm hoping I say that properly, Blazor. Again, for Blazor, there are 2 resources. One is when we come to the usage examples, that is week 2, that's next week, we will have a Blazor example over here. Justin actually has a repo, and I'll put this link in here if you want to share that, but he's going to write up an article about it. There's also a really good example that Jeff Ritz had shared with me. I think I shared the ClipTalk site that he's built with that. So we're going to have a couple of posts next week on using Blazor. There will also hopefully be an end-to-end post in the last week. But more importantly, don't forget to check out the Azure Static Web Apps docs themselves. I kind of keep losing the links. But if you go to the Static Web Apps documentation, there is a quick start for Blazor. So I'm kind of curious to know what specifically you want to see in Blazor, and we can see if there's like other specific features you're trying to use, or you just want to get started with Blazor. So if you look at this in the quick start section, there is one of the options, one of the tabbed options is for Blazor. So if you walk through this, you should be able to use either the portal or the CLI or a VS Code extension and walk through the simple quick start, and then kind of look at tutorials for enhanced use cases.
Yeah, thank you. I'll paste the link one more time for the Blazor tutorial. And thanks again. And lastly, I wanted to ask, what are you so excited about builds? Like, what are you looking forward to see?
Build, I don't know what it's called this year, but there's the developer keynote, right? So there's a whole bunch of things that are going to show up. I must say, I'm interested in knowing what's going to happen with container apps. That's the new service I want to like learn a little bit more about. And of course, your session. Now you've got me super curious. So I've got to come see. I think cognitive services is in general interesting, but you gave me a sneak peek, and I know the framework you're using, so I want to come check out that session. I haven't seen the schedule yet. However, I forgot. I do need to do a shout out. I will be at Build. We are doing a session, members of the JavaScript advocacy team and the student advocacy team. We're going to be doing a session on a kind of a ramp-up guide for Node, Python, and C#.NET developers. That'll kind of help you walk through the entire set of services / learning paths and modules available to build web apps using Azure. So I think that's on the last day. Schedule's not up, but if you kind of track me or track the tag, we'll make sure we'll share that link to the session, or you can find it when the session schedule's up. You can look by name. So I'm excited about that because they've put together a really nice ramp-up guide where you have a structured way to walk through various modules and chain them together to build an end-to-end application.
That's really cool. We wanted to build an end-to-end experience too, because that's when you actually see all of the edge cases and issues. So we built a conference app for the AI demos. Ooh. That's the conference app I wanted to have, where you can translate things. You don't have to fill out forms. You can either talk or while we're ending. So sign up at ak.ms builds 2022 and check out the sessions. I hope we'll see you next time. Bye.